Imagine a city with over 150 dedicated AI startups.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Right. And the local artificial intelligence market there is just exploding, like a 42% annual growth rate.
that's a massive number.
It really is. So you would naturally assume that every mid-sized firm, every logistics company, every B2B supplier in that city is just running their operations on bleeding edge tech.
Yeah, you'd think it would be everywhere.
Exactly. Well, welcome to Ulu, Finland in 2026. This is a city with decades of heavy-hitting tech heritage, right?
Oh, yeah. From early mobile networks all the way to, modern industrial IoT.
Exactly. Yet out of its 12,000 registered businesses, and keep in mind almost all of them are SMEs, an unbelievable 82% refuse to touch AI.
I mean, that is just a massive structural market paradox.
It makes no sense.
It really doesn't. You have this ecosystem that's fundamentally built on advanced tech. They're practically swimming in engineering talent.
Yeah.
And yet the vast majority of companies are just sitting entirely on the sidelines.
Which is exactly why we are digging into this today.
Absolutely.
So if you are an ambitious business leader or, a tech professional who's currently evaluating AI adoption for your own infrastructure, this deep dive is definitely for you.
Yeah, pay attention to this one.
Our mission today is to unpack a really comprehensive 2026 transformation guide. It was published by Aether Lynx's Ethermind Consultancy.
Really great source material, yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We're going to break down how that 18% of early adopters in Ulu are actually leveraging AI chatbots for explosive sales growth.
And, maybe more importantly, how they're navigating these incredibly strict new EU regulations.
Right, the regulations that are basically keeping everyone else completely paralyzed.
Because, look, that 82% adoption gap, it is not a signal that the technology is failing to deliver.
Not at all.
No, it's a flashing neon sign pointing to a fleeting market opportunity. The businesses that are stepping into that gap right now, they aren't treating AI as just some shiny widget to stick on their homepage.
Right, like a gimmick.
Exactly, not a gimmick.
Yeah.
They are treating it as core data infrastructure. And because so few of their competitors are willing to take that leap, these early movers are quietly building an operational moat.
A moat that will be, almost impossible to cross in a few years?
Literally impossible to cross, yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this and ground it in the mechanics of the actual business value. Because, core data infrastructure can sound a little bit abstract.
It sounds very theoretical.
Right. So the Ethermind guide highlights this really fascinating case study. It involves Smiley.io, which is an AI chatbot platform, and a mid-size B2B software company operating in the Ulu region.
Okay.
So this company was just buckling under the weight of about 200 inbound inquiries every single week.
And in a complex B2B sales cycle, those aren't simple FAQs.
Exactly. They're not just what are your hours, they are nuance-led qualifications. They're tier 1 support tickets.
Yeah, and the bottlenecks they experience there is incredibly common.
Oh, I bet.
Before they integrated the AI architecture, their human sales team took an average of 90 minutes to respond to a qualified inbound inquiry.
90 minutes. Which is just fatal.
Completely.
In a B2B environment, the half-life of a lead's interest is measured in minutes.
Right.
If they are evaluating 3 different vendors and you take an hour and a half to reply, they are already deep into a demo with your competitor.
They've moved on.
Exactly. But after deploying this system over a 12-month tracking period, that 90-minute response time collapsed down to just 4 minutes.
4 minutes? That's just
incredible, right?
Yeah, and we have to look at the mechanical downstream effects of that speed. Because when you collapse that feedback loop from an hour and a half down to 4 minutes, you fundamentally alter the psychology of the buyer.
How so? What does that actually change?
Well, you capture them at the exact peak of their intent.
Oh, right, while they're still thinking about it.
Exactly. And the hard data from the case study actually proves it. That specific compression in response time drove a 35% improvement in their lead conversion rate.
Wow. Just from answering faster.
Completely independent of any changes to the product or the pricing.
That is wild. Okay, let me offer a way to visualize what is actually happening here, because honestly, calling this a chatbot almost does it a disservice.
Yeah, it's a bit of a reductive term.
Right. So think of a high-volume emergency room. The AI isn't the surgeon, okay? It's the ultimate triage nurse.
I like that.
It instantly diagnoses the severity of the incoming request. It handles the routine bandages.
which in this case study resulted in a 45% reduction in Tier 1 support tickets.
Right,
Okay?
exactly, 45%. And then it preps the high-value patients so the human surgeons, your actual sales reps, can operate immediately.
Yeah.
It reclaims roughly 200 to 600 hours annually for a standard team, just like a hyper-efficient junior sales rep who never slips.
That triage analogy is spot on.
Yeah.
And the financial mechanics of deploying that digital triage nurse are just staggering.
Break the numbers down for us.
Okay, so for this specific 5-person sales team, the company realized 85,000 euros in direct annual labor savings.
85,000.
Yeah. Because the reps were no longer bogged down in all that routine data collection, they experienced a 3.2x increase in the volume of qualified leads they could actively negotiate.
So they're closing more deals faster.
Exactly. And ultimately, that generated a 700% return on investment.
Okay, we need to talk about the capital required to achieve that 700% ROI because, honestly, it's surprisingly accessible.
It really is.
Based on the local Ulu market data in the guide, deploying one of these advanced systems costs between 2,500 and 15,000 euros annually.
Right.
And that covers the consultancy, the architectural setup, all the customization.
The whole packet.
Yeah. So when you benchmark a, say, 15,000 euro maximum spend against 85,000 euros in labor savings.
And that 35% bump in closed-won revenue.
Right. The payback period is exceptionally short. You are looking at 4 to 8 months to completely recoup the capital outlay.
I mean, it's one of the shortest runways to profitability you can find in enterprise software right now.
Which brings us right back to that massive, glaring contradiction we started with.
Right.
If the math is this undisputed, I mean, if you achieve full payback in half a year, why is 82% of the market refusing to touch it?
Yeah.
The answer is that deploying this technology in 2026 comes with a massive, unavoidable legal tripwire.
The 2026 EU AI Act.
There it is?
Yeah, it is now fully implemented, and it fundamentally redrawed the boundaries of enterprise technology.
Explain how it works. Like, what's the actual mechanism?
Well, the entire framework hinges on risk classification.
Yeah.
And the critical threshold for businesses to understand here is something called Annex 2 high-risk categories.
Okay, Annex 2. But I think the instinct for a lot of leaders is to assume, a sales chatbot couldn't possibly be high risk. I mean, it's just a text box on a website.
Right, but it is not about the interface.
Okay.
It is entirely about the data it processes and the decisions it influences.
Give me an example.
Sure. If your chatbot is parsing a client's financial data to offer a dynamic price quote, or maybe evaluating personal data that touches on employment eligibility,
Oh, I see.
or handling biometric identification, the EU AI Act legally classifies that as a high-risk system, period.
Wow. Okay, and what are the actual mechanics of that classification? Like, what happens the moment your system is flagged as high risk under Annex 2?
It triggers a mandatory cascade of governance protocols.
Sounds expensive.
It's intense. You are legally required to conduct rigorous, documented impact assessments, testing for bias. You must maintain exhaustive data transparency logs.
Right.
But most critically, you need explainability mechanisms.
Explainability mechanisms, meaning what exactly?
Meaning you can no longer use a black box neural network that just, spits out a localized price quote.
Okay.
You have to be able to cryptographically prove to an auditor exactly how the AI arrived at that specific decision.
Wait, really? Tracing it all the way back?
Yeah, tracing it back to the exact training data it referenced. And of course, there must be clear, unavoidable disclosure to the user that they are conversing with a machine.
Okay, I have to push back on the reality of this for a local business. Because the Ethermind guide notes that the penalties for failing an audit are 20 to 30 million euros, or 6% of global revenue.
Yeah, it's steep.
Steep. If I am running a 50-person B2B logistics firm in Oulu, a 20 million euro fine isn't a penalty. It is an existential extinction event.
Oh, absolutely.
So doesn't this massive looming regulatory hammer actually justify why 82% of the market is terrified to adopt AI?
I mean, the fear is rational, for sure. But the strategy of avoidance is flawed.
Why?
What's fascinating here is how you can weaponize that exact regulatory burden to your advantage.
Weaponize the red tape.
Yes, the penalties are draconian, but that is precisely what creates that operational moat we discussed earlier.
Okay, I'm tracking.
Aether Lynk's Ethermind Consultancy specializes in governance frameworks that bake this compliance into the architecture from day one. So when you build a compliance system, you aren't just avoiding a fine.
Right.
You are engineering a profound competitive advantage.
So you're saying the red tape is actually a feature, not a bug, for the companies that figure it out early?
Exactly. Think about the buyer psychology in a heavily regulated market. They are highly sensitized to data privacy.
Very true.
So when your system explicitly demonstrates its compliance, when it provides explainable quotes, and guarantees secure data handling,
It builds immense trust.
immense institutional trust. Furthermore, designing an explainable architecture up front might add, say, 5,000 to 12,000 euros to your initial build.
Which isn't nothing.
It's not, but trying to retrofit a non-compliant, hallucinating black box model after an audit, that will bankrupt you.
Oh, yeah. So you are paying a slight premium for absolute operational peace of mind.
Exactly.
So the overarching lesson here is that the law is completely non-negotiable.
Completely.
If you want that 700% ROI, you have to play by the EU's rules, which means you cannot just buy an off-the-shelf bot and plug it into your CRM.
No, that's a disaster waiting to happen.
It requires a highly structured deployment.
Which is why AetherLink developed a three-phase implementation strategy.
Okay, let's go through that playbook.
It prevents companies from drowning in the technical and legal complexity by forcing a deliberate, sequenced rollout.
So phase 1 covers weeks 1 through 4. And looking at the guide, it is essentially corporate therapy.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
I mean, you aren't writing a single line of code yet. You are conducting a readiness scan. What does that actually look like in practice?
It is an intensive audit of your existing workflows. You're basically mapping out where your data actually lives.
Okay.
You're identifying high-impact, low-risk use cases. Stuff like basic lead scoring or automated appointment booking.
Right, the easy wins.
Exactly. And you're spotting your compliance gaps before you ever touch a server. You have to know where the regulatory landmines are before you start building.
That makes sense. Then phase 2 spans weeks 5 through 10. This is the architecture and training phase, where you actually build the secure infrastructure and begin training your staff to interact with it.
Right.
Finally, phase 3 kicks off at week 11. This is the phase deployment. You don't just flip a switch and route all your global traffic to AI.
Never do that.
Right. You roll it out to, say, 10% of your sales team. You monitor the error rates, you refine the system's guardrails, and then you gradually scale up the traffic.
Exactly. But even with a flawless roadmap, the deployment will hit friction.
Of course.
The guide outlines 3 specific roadblocks businesses face. And the first is purely technical, fragmented data ecosystems.
Oh, this is the reality for almost every mid-sized business.
Yeah, it's a mess out there.
I mean, they have a legacy ERP system from 2015, a modern cloud CRM, 5 overlapping spreadsheets managed by different regional managers.
And a decade of email archives.
Right. So if an AI requires pristine structured data to provide explainable answers for the EU AI Act, how do you feed it that chaotic mess without it just hallucinating entirely fabricated responses?
Well, you don't feed it the mess directly.
Okay.
If you train a foundational model on contradictory data, it will hallucinate. And in a regulated environment, a hallucination is a compliance violation.
Right, which triggers the audit.
Exactly. The solution detailed in the guide is Ethermind data harmonization.
So think of your company's scattered data like a massive commercial kitchen.
Okay, I'm following.
The flour is locked in the basement, the eggs are in the attic, and the recipe is written in shorthand. The AI is the executive chef.
Right.
Harmonization isn't about physically moving all those ingredients into one bowl. It's about giving the chef a real-time translation layer and a precise map to retrieve exactly what they need the moment they need it.
That is functionally exactly what happens. It's a process called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG.
Airbag.
Okay.
Ah.
The harmonization layer parses all your fragmented CRMs and spreadsheets, and it converts that text into vector embeddings.
Which means what in plain English?
It's essentially mapping your corporate knowledge into a mathematical coordinate system.
Ah, okay.
So when a client asks a complex pricing question, the AI doesn't try to guess the answer from memory.
Right, because that leads to hallucinations.
Right. Instead, it searches those coordinates, retrieves the exact authorized pricing spreadsheet, and formulates the answer based strictly on that document. That is how you eliminate hallucinations and achieve the explainability the EU demands.
It fundamentally changes the AI from being a creative writer into a highly restricted research librarian.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so that solves the technical data roadblock. Challenge 2 is the friction of funding.
Always a hurdle.
Yeah. We outlined a 15,000 euro deployment plus maybe 10,000 for the premium compliance architecture. For a bootstrapped local business, dropping 25,000 euros on a tech stack that they haven't proven yet is a heavy lift.
It is a significant capital expenditure. But this is where the geographical context of Oulu becomes a massive strategic advantage.
Oh, because of the local support.
Exactly. The regional government is heavily incentivizing this transition. Through the 2026-2040 City Center Vision, organizations like Business Oulu and the Oulu Innovation Alliance are actively underwriting the risk.
And looking at the guide, the financial support is freely structured too.
Yeah.
They offer subsidized workshops to tackle that Phase 1 readiness scan, which lowers the cost to somewhere between 500 and 2,000 euros per company.
Which is very manageable.
Very. And more importantly, they provide innovation grants specifically for pilot projects, ranging from 5,000 to 25,000 euros.
Right.
So the local ecosystem is essentially offering to fund your prototype.
Exactly. So when you combine those municipal grants with the 4 to 8 month payback period we discussed earlier,
The financial risk profile just drops dramatically.
almost to zero.
But challenge 3 is the one that derails deployments even when the tech and the funding are perfect.
Oh, a human element. Change management.
Yes. I mean, put yourself in the shoes of a veteran B2B sales rep. Leadership suddenly introduces an AI that responds to clients in 4 minutes, qualifies leads flawlessly, and never sleeps.
Right.
The immediate psychological reaction is panic. They are going to view this tool as their direct replacement, and they'll actively resist using it. How do we get team buy-in?
You have to fundamentally dismantle and rebuild the internal narrative.
Okay, how?
You position the architecture strictly as augmentation,
Yeah.
never replacement. Yeah. You demonstrate to the sales rep that the AI is absorbing the low-value, repetitive administrative tasks, the password resets, the basic spec sheet requests.
The stuff they already despise doing.
Exactly. It frees their bandwidth to focus entirely on high-stakes negotiations where, human nuance, empathy, relationship building are irreplaceable.
That makes a lot of sense. And the Ethermind guide makes a fascinating point here. It says the actual technical deployment, like the API connections, the vector databases, only accounts for 20% of the project's success.
Yeah, that surprised me too.
Right. Only 20%.
The remaining 80% is entirely dependent on organizational readiness.
Wow.
It requires establishing transparent internal dashboards so a sales rep can visually track how the AI is teeing up qualified leads for their specific pipeline.
Oh, so they see it working for them.
Exactly. And it requires monthly business reviews where the team provides feedback to actually refine the AI's responses.
Right.
The culture has to shift to view the AI as a junior partner that enhances their commission rather than a competitor threatening their livelihood.
Okay, now, if we follow the logical progression of everything we've discussed today,
Let's do it.
you've harmonized your fragmented data to comply with the EU AI Act. You've deployed an explainable RAG architecture, and your team is fully integrated.
Check, check, and check.
Right. You have accidentally built the exact infrastructure required for something much, much bigger.
Yes.
And this brings us to the most unexpected insight in the guide: the intersection of AI and corporate sustainability.
It is a brilliant secondary application of the technology.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Well, because the EU AI Act forced you to meticulously organize and map your data, you now possess the pipeline necessary to comply with the CSRD.
The corporate sustainability reporting directives.
Exactly. These are the strict new mandates requiring companies to comprehensively disclose their environmental impacts.
Right, because historically, an ESG report is a static 80-page PDF buried on a company's website that gets updated maybe once a year.
If that.
Right, it's completely disconnected from the actual sales cycle. But the University of Oulu has been pioneering the integration of AI digital twins for urban carbon management.
And for context, a digital twin is a real-time, highly detailed virtual simulation of a physical system.
Right.
So in a supply chain context, it uses live telemetry from factory sensors, logistics APIs, material databases to track exactly how much carbon is being emitted at any given second.
Okay, so imagine the B2B buyer from earlier. They are interacting with your sales chatbot, evaluating a massive wholesale order.
Yeah.
They don't just ask for price discount, they ask, what is the precise real-time carbon footprint of the materials in this specific product configuration?
Which is a very real question in Europe right now.
Oh, absolutely. And because
Okay.
your chatbot is hooked into your harmonized data architecture, which is now pinging your supply chain's digital twin,
It doesn't just link them to last year's PDF.
no. It pulls the live telemetry and provides an instant, verifiable carbon calculation directly in the chat window.
I mean, It transforms a tedious regulatory reporting requirement into a dynamic, interactive customer service feature.
It's wild.
And in the European market, where institutional investors and large enterprise buyers are legally mandated to scrutinize the ESG metrics of their supply chain,
Right.
the ability to instantly prove your carbon footprint becomes a massive differentiator.
Huge.
It elevates the business from merely being compliant to being a transparent leader in responsible AI and sustainability.
It's just an entirely different echelon of operational maturity. You aren't just selling a product anymore. You are selling the provable ethics of your supply chain in real time.
Absolutely.
As we wrap up this analysis, let's distill all these mechanisms and regulations down. What is the single most important insight you want a business leader to take away from this transformation guide?
It has to be the realization that regulation drives innovation.
Okay, expand on that.
Well, the market reflexively views legislation like the EU AI Act as a brake pedal that stifles progress, right?
Oh, 100%. Red tape bureaucracy.
Exactly. But the mechanics we've explored today show the exact opposite. The strict mandates for explainability and data governance force companies to tear down their data silos.
Right.
And they have to build resilient, highly organized ecosystems.
Yeah.
By forcing you to build a system that can pass an audit, the regulation ultimately forces you to build a system that serves your customer faster and more accurately.
That's a great point.
It turns a severe legal burden into your most valuable strategic asset.
My ultimate takeaway is just the sheer velocity of the financial return once that asset is built.
Oh, the speed is incredible.
Right. The reality that a mid-size enterprise can completely overhaul its data architecture, navigate the complexities of EU compliance, deploy a digital twin-connected chatbot, and achieve a fully realized 700% ROI payback within just 4 to 8 months is staggering.
Yeah.
You are reclaiming hundreds of hours of human capital almost instantly, simply by letting the tech do the triage.
And when the ROI timeline is that compressed, the risk of action is vastly outweighed by the risk of hesitation.
Exactly. Which leaves us with a final provocative thought to examine.
Okay.
We just explored how an explainable AI architecture can instantly pull live telemetry to prove a company's carbon footprint and ethical compliance, right in the middle of a high-stakes sales negotiation.
Yeah, we did.
So if an AI can cryptographically verify your entire environmental and ethical reality while simultaneously closing a deal, will transparent, real-time regulatory compliance soon replace traditional marketing as the ultimate enterprise sales pitch?
I mean, it is a profound paradigm shift to consider. Because when absolute proof is available instantly, marketing promises become entirely obsolete.
Think back to that massive contradiction we started with in Ulu, an ecosystem bursting with AI innovation, yet 82% of businesses are paralyzed, intimidated by fragmented data or draconian regulations.
To go to the sidelines.
Right. But the strategic blueprint is clear, the local funding is available, and the financial returns are incredibly fast. The only question remaining for your organization is, are you going to stay paralyzed in the 82%, or are you going to step into the 18% and dominate your sector? For more AI insights, visit etherlink.ai